computer.
Well, hello, hello. Welcome back to No Bras Required with Patty and Megan.
Hey, friends.
We're excited. So, today we have a fun topic. This is something that I think a lot of us can relate to, especially those of us that are moms.
Yeah.
Um, so, do you ever catch yourself in the mirror and think, oh, who's that woman raising humans today? Your
Uh,
mascara smudged, your coffee stained shirt, your hair bun is doing its own dance routine. Who knows? Sometimes my eyelashes are like all over the place.
yes.
So I don't know.
I've actually got a funny story about this, Megan. My sister and I routinely send this meme of Andre the Giant back and forth to each other. And we know what it means, but it's basically he's got side boob hanging out the side of his overstretched tank top. And I actually literally texted my sister one morning and it's like I woke up and my PJs had shifted so badly. One of my boobs was out the armhole, the other one was out the neck hole. And that's how she replied to me was with this Andre the Giant meme.
Love it.
Yes, that is exactly who is in charge of this circus today. And it's like, wow, talk about your rough starts.
I mean, yeah.
Who hasn't been there?
It is what it is. Like some days are just those days. And
Yeah,
but our kids see it. And, one of the things is just how we have to set the stage and make sure that we are putting out a great example for our kids because they mimic us. They're like
yeah,
those little minor birds that anything you say, they're going to say back. Like,
yeah,
remember when they were toddlers and you're in the car and you may be like, I don't know, um, saying, oh, um, they don't know how to drive, blah, 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 or whatever you want to say. Usually it's curse
yeah,
words that come out when somebody drives really terrible. And then that little 2-year-old in the back, like you have to stop fast and
yeah.
they repeat the exact, and you're like, what? Where did you learn that? And they're like, from you, mommy. And I'm like,
From you. You said it. My kids actually, my famous in the car talk was they're like, can we stop and get this? Can we stop here? Can we stop here? Because we live out of town. It's a 30-minute drive to like work wherever we're going, grocery store, whatever, out to the acreage. And I'm like, is that a need or a want? That was what I would always when they were little. And they're like, but we need it. And I'm like, no, what you need is food, love, and water. And I could give and shelter. And I'm like, and I could give all four of those to you in this car. I was like on repeat. And so as they got older and mocked me in their teen years, one of them would be like, can we stop at Starbucks? And the other ones would go, is that a need or a want? Because we can give you food, water, shelter, all this car. And I'm like, listen, little mini me's, nobody appreciates you in this moment.
right? I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I know. They pick up on so much and just the
Oh,
crazy things that we say. And not just our kids. I mean, talking studio owner, I mean, my kids would make fun of the things that I said in class. And I always had, I mean, you have the crazy sayings that you're
yeah.
trying to get them to do things. You're trying to get them to understand. We had this one time where we were doing time warp. And so they had to have their hands like everything was in a like an angle, right? And so
Okay.
your hands are like covering your boobs, right?
Yeah.
And in a big jazz hands, and then they
Yeah.
open them out and then they come back, right? So they're like at a diagonal, and then you bend the elbows to come in. And they couldn't seem to get it. And so until I said, cover your boobs, surprise, cover your boobs, surprise. Okay, well, you know what? We got it, and
Yeah.
it was right. But then, of course, the only way they do it is to say that, and
Yeah.
I say crazy. And they started making a book of all the crazy things that I would say. I know it's actually pretty funny. I felt quite
Too.
loved. Yeah, I felt very loved in that moment. But yeah, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes.
I
sometimes.
didn't realize. Okay, so this is like a kid thing now that they're recording all of the craziness that comes out of our mouths, trying to make them better at sport. Because yeah, they've got books of like both me and Manuela at the studio, and they've told us about it. Like they're like, add that to the list.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
like, I'm secretly dying to see what this list has. Like, I know some of it's going to be phenomenal. Because I mean, let's face it, we're brilliant. But
Yeah. I
so,
know, but then some of it I'm like, oh my gosh, what have they picked up on that I don't even
yeah,
realize I say anymore? And I was like, and if anybody reads this, am I gonna sound insane?
the
Probably.
answer to both is yes. Yeah. Um, I was gonna say too, even sometimes the things that the studio kids say that I'm like, and this is why I have the thing at the studio with my parents where I tell them, I'm gonna believe half of what your kids tell me about you, but when they jump in the car, I expect the same in return. And we always laugh about it. But I think I told you about this maybe a week or two ago with our Bring a Dude to Dance Week. And it's like, what does your dad do? And they got talking about it. One little girl said, my dad just lays on the couch and drinks beer. And it's like, oh, yeah, mama, you might want I understand the frustration as a fellow wife and mother, but yeah, it's
They picked up
they will, and they're gonna humble you with it every chance they get.
every single time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every single.
Yeah. I know. I know. It's
Oh, I got another one for you. This is one of my prouder mommy moments. Just kidding, not really. I had maybe had one too many drinks around a campfire with a bunch of friends, and I think we were talking about all the things you're not supposed to talk about, like politics, religion, the judicial system, like all
really light, happy topics
really
today.
light. These are good friends, like, but we, yeah. Anyways, I was like I said, I probably had one too many, and I started to get a little loud with my opinion, like my voice and my opinion. And my husband, of all people who should really know what to do and what not to do in this situation, went, Patty, shh, Megan, what am I going to do?
I'm sure that did not go very well for him. It did not have quite the loving response that he thought you would come out of your mouth.
I doubled down on my behavior, is exactly what happened.
Yep.
And I'm like, I believe what I believe. And then I did it again. And I believe. And I don't remember what I believed, but at the end, when I was done, I looked my husband square in the face and curtsied. And then I sat down and I'm like, oh my God. And my children, it's this. And again, going forward in only the way that my Johnston children have been raised and trained to do. If I felt strongly about something around supper time conversation, one of them would ultimately always go, Mom, do you believe? And I'm like, listen, I know I love them, but they're annoying, but I love them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I bless everybody's hearts.
Yeah, you
Here
do.
good in the South, right? That this is what we do. We
So
we bless
polite.
our hearts, and um sometimes I just bless the world, or I just bless because that's just, how it goes. And Reagan came home from work, and she's very much a little mini me of me. Um,
Uh-huh.
so she'd been at work. She was working on a Sunday,
Okay.
and she was talking and sharing the story about this. She's a hostess at a restaurant that's local here, and these people came in and they wanted, it was six, a party of six, so they sat them at a table at
Yeah.
the booth. And they were like, no, 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 we want to sit at this table that was like for 10. They have this big long table in the center, or a different table that they wanted. And she was like, well, no, we're saying like that's for other parties, for bigger parties. And they're like, well, we can't fit in the booth. And she's like, yeah, I mean, you can. Anyway, so they made a big stink about it. The manager had to come over and was like, no, 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 you can fit in this booth of six. We've told them if it's six people sit, we're six people sit. We can't, take up more room. It doesn't, because they were like, well, we're going to eat for more. I mean, they were, whatever. Anyway, so they were just quite ugly.
Yeah.
And Reagan comes home telling the story, and she goes, Mom, I mean, it was after church. Those people, they had come from church and apparently they didn't get enough Jesus. So they need to go back and get some Jesus. Bless their hearts. They did not learn enough in church that day. It's like, oh my gosh, she is, she's me.
The Southern Belle came out at her. Bless their hearts. They did not get enough Jesus. You
They
all
need,
need to return.
I was like, oh my gosh.
I could totally see her saying that too.
She's my child. She is my child.
I love
Um,
it. I love it.
yeah, I know. And the funny thing is like, remember when you were raising little kids? I think this is where it came out
Oh,
for me the most. And I'm sitting there talking to my kids, and usually in a moment of frustration, and
yeah,
I sound just like my mom. And I had to like stop
yeah,
and pause. And I was like, oh no, I am now her.
yeah,
Like, if you don't eat everything on that plate, you're not getting up from this table. And I'm like, wait, oh no, I just did that. Or, I cooked. You're going to eat what I cooked, or you're not going to eat it all.
yeah,
You're looking at your
yeah,
2-year-old who's like not going to eat the broccoli and decided
yeah.
they don't like the chicken or whatever, whatever it is. And you're just like,
Oh my gosh.
I just became my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's like the one thing you remember your parents saying to you that you're like, I'm never going to do it?
I said I was never going to make my kids eat. I sat at that dinner table. So I hate peas and carrots. If anybody knows me, I hate peas and carrots. No, no. And I
Even
would
raw?
sit.
Sorry to interrupt, but even
No,
raw?
no, I won't touch them. Nope.
Is
No
it the
way.
texture or the taste?
I really think it's childhood trauma, honestly.
Carry on.
I know, it's very curious. I really don't like the taste of carrots. Cooked carrots, raw carrots. I've tried raw,
Oh,
like to do raw carrots, even like lathering them in ranch. I
yeah,
just can't. And like peas, the only way I can eat them is if they're mixed in tuna casserole. I know, weird, but like I can eat them there, but like nowhere else. Um, but like, okay, so my
interesting.
my brother, I think I never really liked them, right?
Yeah,
And so, the rule in our house was you had to sit at the table until you were done eating.
yeah.
And I just, I said last episode I didn't like to apologize. I was very stubborn. I also didn't care that I would have to sit there
Yeah.
because I was not going to eat those
No, I could
Martian
see
brain.
you being like, challenge accepted. I will outlast you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not eating the Martian brains. Like I'm not going to. And then my brother, we got to pick birthday dinners, and mom would cook whatever we wanted for birthday dinners. And most normal children pick like spaghetti or, whatever, right? Oh no, my brother, I think out of pure spite and just
No.
because, picked chicken pot pie, which what are the main ingredients
Oh,
of
I
chicken?
just cooked this last night and my family loved it, but I'm thinking Megan would not have liked my
Oh,
chicken pot pie and it was
no
amazing.
way, Jose. Creamy chicken and
Yeah.
and
Peas
peas and
and carrots
carrots.
and green
No, thank you.
beans.
No, mom never put green beans in. I'd at least eat those. No, peas and carrots. And he would ask for it every freaking birthday. And I would have to sit at that table. And I hate chicken pot pie with like every fiber of my being. It's not allowed in my house. So, like, when I go out of town and we go on girls' trips, my family goes and buys the like Mrs. Calendar's
Yeah.
chicken pot pies and they eat them because I'm not home. Because I
Okay.
will not do
I'm
it.
gonna send your kids the super easiest chicken pot pie recipe that they can make when mom's away at conventions or we're off on a girls' trip.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is never on the menu at my house. I
That's
refuse.
hilarious.
But yeah, so I always said I was never going to be that mom that like sat
Yeah.
there and made my kids eat, and like finish their dinner, and then I had two picky eaters. And like with Michaela, the first kid, you're always the one that's like, I'm gonna like make them,
Yeah.
this is what's good
Yeah.
for you, this is healthy. And she hated all vegetables and
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, and we would battle at dinner and it was awful. And then by the time we got to Ryan, he's number 4 and he's my other picky little eater. And I'm like, all right, fine. I mean,
Chicken fingers again?
Eat, don't eat. I don't really care. Like, yeah, if you want
Yeah.
to make your own food, go for it. So
Yeah.
like three, he's pulling out the chicken nuggets, putting them on the plate, pulling the little chair over, and microwaving them because he was like, I'm not eating that. And there we go. And he
Oh
ate.
wow. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
But yeah, what was yours? What was your thing? You were like, I'm never gonna do this to my kids.
My parents, but you have to remember, I am like Gen X, like we raised ourselves, we were feral.
Oh yeah,
Um,
same.
but it was if you got like my dad could raise his voice and we would be quivering, whimpering, crying, just because he didn't do it that often. Not because the man beat us or anything. Like I was well, you met my dad.
Yeah.
He's a sweetheart. Um, but he would yell and we would, and he goes, quit your crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Why would you ever say that to a child that's already struggling to keep it? It's like, and during the premenstrual years,
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, Dad, that was dumb. Like, that wasn't like, and I still to this, you know what? I'm going to have a talk with him about that. What did you hope to achieve, Bill, in that moment that you thought that was the? I think they were just. It's and same with us, like tired, taxed out, like overwhelmed. Typically, by the time you got to sit together at the end of the day, it was the end of the day. You'd already done wake them up, get them ready for school, put them on the bus, go to work, done the school, done the pickup, after school activities, come home, make a meal, throw in some laundry. Oh, and now we're going to talk. I just want to be left alone. Like, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Um, and that was the other thing. My mom was a non-hugger.
Mm.
She, which is hilarious because you know me. I am a like
Yeah.
huggy huggy. But when I have a picture of her and my dad giving me away at my wedding, and my mom has one arm around me and the other one like wrist like super straight. You would swear it was a military service. And it was
Wow.
like, see, mom, proof from my wedding. You never hugged two arms. And we, as kids, we'd be like, two hands, please, mom, two hands, please. But she spent her day, it like she was a nurse and she also was a paramedic. So her day was spent in close proximity with others, giving of herself and her space. And it wasn't until I was a mom that I realized, oh, this is why the one armed hugs. So I always said, I'm whenever my kids want to hug, they're getting both hands, like both arms. But I actually I did, but I also said to my kids sometimes like I need some personal space and that's okay. It doesn't mean I don't love you. I love you. I'm going to love you better from afar right now. And if and if they kept pushing it, they soon learned. No, she meant what she said. She meant what she said.
I another one I remember was and I'm guilty of saying this one. I brought you into this world and I
I
could
could
take you
take you
out.
out.
Yep. And then my mom, oh gosh, I clearly remember. Oh gosh, mom, I'm so sorry. I feel like you're like telling all the stories. But I remember this one time, my brother, he's always,
Sounds like
oh,
your brother had it out for you.
oh, my brother, no, this one wasn't out for me, but he was a very opinionated child and
Oh.
he was very set in his ways and he could be very naughty. And so I remember one day he was going to run away
Oh.
and he hated this house. He would
Yeah.
fight with my mom so much because she, was trying to discipline him
Yeah.
and give him boundaries and he didn't want them.
Yeah.
And and she'd always be like, wait until your dad gets home and whatever. So he was like, well, that's fine. I'm not gonna wait until he gets home. I'm gonna run away. And she was like, all right. Well, you're gonna run away from this house the same way that you came into this world. And she made him take all his clothes off and told him that he could run away the same way he came into the world. Um, and he did. He made it out to the cul-de-sac, if I remember correctly. I think she did let him keep his underwear on, so it wasn't like it
How
completely.
old was he?
Oh, he was probably like 4 or 5. Um,
Okay.
and he was gonna go barefoot in his underwears. And yeah,
Oh my
he
gosh.
He had moments. He had moments, but like yeah, that one when I remember very well, and it just sears in your brain.
Yeah, the fun. So, okay, fun fact. Nate was my kid that was always going to run away. We live out in the country. Like, where are you going? Anyways, he'd always go down the laneway to the and then sit in the ditch at the edge of the main road because he knew that it was dangerous to go past. So anyway, one day I hate this house. I'm moving away. I'm running away. I'm like, bye. And
Yeah,
Dylan was like, Mom. And I'm like, no, if he wants to go, let him go. I said, that's fine. I said, Nate, just please phone me when you get wherever you're going and let me know where to drop off your clothes and your toys and stuff. And he turned around and the look on his face was like, you're not even gonna fight for me. It was just total shock. And it was like, well, now I have to like commit to this decision.
yeah,
So as he did, he went to the end of the road and he sat in the ditch. And then poor Dylan, though, big brother, Mom, like, you have to go get him. And I'm like, no, he'll come back. Just leave him be. He needs to decide that it's not so bad, but he needs time to cool down. Mom, now is not the time for this. You need to go get your son. And I'm like, oh, now is not the time for this. Like, I know exactly where those words and the tone and the exact way he said them came from. Like, I'm like, you sound just like your mama. This is not the time to be pulling
hmm
this stuff. But yeah, and he had sat in the ditch for a while and then he came home and he was not happy. But I'm like, you know,
yeah.
it's fine. You'll be okay.
It's so funny.
Oh, there, I mean, in the moment, it's exhausting and you're just like, really? Like, we're going to do this again? Okay. Okay. But now I'm like, God, I'd give anything for one of those moments again just to truly appreciate it for what it was, right? Like,
Yeah, back when they were little, and oh, I mean, it's exhausting. It's so hard. And but yes, I would give anything. One of my favorite moments of, brilliant parenting I have here. So, or at
oh,
least a
can't
little.
wait. I can't wait.
Nobody can call CPS. So, Ryan was my quiet fit thrower. He came out grumpy. He came out with a little scowl on his face and his little eyebrows furrowed, and
Yeah.
like he's just always been that way. And so when he was a baby, toddlerish, and we would go to the studio, he hated going to the studio. Hated it. Hates
Yeah.
it still to this day, but
Yeah.
not with as much of a passion as he did when he was like 18 months and 2 years old. And so he wouldn't go in the door. Like, I'd have to like carry him in,
Yeah.
and he would lay face down in front of the door and just lay there. Like he was protesting being there, but he wasn't throwing a fit. There was no screaming, no crying, like none of that. He would just lay there in front of the door. And so people would just come in,
Walk
step
over.
over him. Hi, Ryan. How are you today? "Mm, okay, great.
Yeah.
You go on." And he would do the same thing. Like mom would drop him off when I was at school, and I would have after school rehearsals, or I would have to wait like 45 minutes for the little kids to be done at the elementary school to walk over to me. And so mom would come and bring Ryan, and he would get to play in my room. Well, then we had to go because usually we had to get to the studio,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't want to leave. And so he would just lay on the floor in my classroom in the dance room. And I would have to walk up the entire main hall of the school to get out the front to go to the car. And he wasn't going to go. And, I'm carrying my bag and I'm carrying my
Yeah.
lunchbox and whatever else you're carrying as a mom, like everything. And, you look like a pack mule. And I have this like 40-pound kid that doesn't want to go anywhere. Like some of the favorite memories of some of the teachers I worked with was me like kick sliding Ryan down the hall. So you take the side of your foot and you kind of push him
Yep.
down, and
Push him
you just
down. Gentle
slide him down
nudge.
the gentle nudge, and he just, still face first like Superman, just slide on the hallway
Louise.
until we got to the door. And then finally he decided to get up because I'm like, well, we got to go on concrete. So this is
Yep.
gonna hurt. You
Yeah.
can't slide anymore. And he'd get up and and we would walk out to the car, and they're like, they were, yeah. I mean, what
Yeah.
do you do? But that he was he's a grumpy little guy,
Yeah.
and still kind of is. He threw a fit on his third birthday. He laid out on the stairs. It's one of my favorite videos of him. And he I guess didn't want to celebrate his birthday because we brought him out and we're like, "Do you want your presents? We're gonna sing." And he was like, "Mm."
Did you serve chicken pot pie?
"Well, I no." I mean, we were just trying to give him some presents and some cake, and he was just not going to turn 3, I guess.
Yeah.
So he like laid out. We have this video of him just like protesting his birthday because he didn't want to do it then. And then about like 10 minutes later, he decided that it was fine and he would turn 3 and then opened
Yeah.
his presents and it was fine. But yeah, I mean, it, exhausting. But I would give anything to have like little ones at that time,
Yeah.
and go back to those moments and
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes do it different, because sometimes
Well,
you get that tired and you say the things you don't mean. But
yeah. We I think I may have shared this with you before, but Nate and Dylan, when they when I first opened the studio, you know how it is. You're doing all of the class, like you're teaching all of the classes, you're doing all of the admin, you're trying to raise your kids. We lived out of town, so it was like a half-hour commute back and forth. I'd made that run probably 3 or 4 times a day to like make sure they were at school, go in and teach morning classes, come back, pick them up from school, go back and teach evening classes or run them to wherever babysitter. Um, and I was exhausted. And so I used to call it marathon laundry. I would do laundry all weekend long, and our kids had the chores. They had to put their laundry away. I would wash, dry, fold, but they had to put it away. And one day I went to put something in the boys' closet, and these two little buggers had stuffed all of the folded laundry in the crevices. Like they had shelves, they had Megan, I saw red. I was so mad, like so mad. I had to go for a walk before I could talk to these two. And then we sat them down and we talked about respect for mom's time and how hard I'm working, trying to make sure that they have the things they need, that they go to school not stinking from having to wear like week old clothes or work, and all you're asked to do is put it away. Oh, and I thought we had a real come to Jesus moment. Like I thought they got it because they were like, sorry, mom, sorry. And at our house, it's like, don't be sorry, just don't do it again.
right, yeah.
Sorry isn't sorry unless there's a change in behavior. Like, and we tried to instill that from day one. Anyway, it was fine. We went about our business. The next day, I'm trying to get the boys on the bus. I'm trying to get their lunches made, get their pants on, make sure they're both wearing underwear, like all the things. And I come across Nate's balled up socks and clothes in the middle of my living room floor. And I just saw red. I saw red and I went into a rage and I grabbed the socks and I threw the other ones in the laundry. And I'm just like, I walked around with them. I knew I was going to do something, but I didn't know quite what. Anyways, I went upstairs. I finished making their lunches. I threw Nate's dirty socks in his lunch kit and I scribbled a quick little note. I zipped it up and I sent him off to school. And I'm
Oh,
telling you, Megan, the second that bus pulled out of our lane, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to become that crazy woman. We live in a small town. This is what have I done? I have just labeled myself like I think he was in grade 2 or 3. Like I was worried. Anyway, the day goes on. Nobody phoned me from the school. So I'm like, maybe I got a. And Nader comes home and he goes, Mama, what was that? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, that note you read. He goes, you put my socks in my lunch kit. And I said, well, I know. Did you read the note? He goes, yeah, because I opened my lunch kit and I said, what the? And the teacher made me read it.
oh,
So he,
oh no, the whole class.
because he's holding his socks and he's looking and he's like, what the? And the teacher's like, Nate. And he's like, and she goes, well, read the note. And my note said, Dear Nate, I know these socks don't belong in your lunch kit, just like I know you know they don't belong in the middle of the living room floor. I'm sorry too. Love, Mom. And I was just like, that was probably one of my biggest mic drop moments as a parent. But man, when I went for parent teacher interviews, probably like the teacher that he had, his homeroom teacher, was like, that was brilliant, and I hope you don't mind, but I told the other teachers and we applauded you. And I'm like, oh, thanks. I'm like, well, if you can't beat them, get even, right? Like, it's like, yeah. And then I had a couple other teachers like come and like, is this the mom? And I'm like, oh my God. So I did make a name, but it worked out a little better than I thought it was going to. But and he
That's
was like, Mom, I was so embarrassed. And this was what changed the behavior. And I said, well, good thing you didn't drop your ginch. And his face just like, I was like, F around and find out, buddy. I didn't say
right.
that to him, but that was what was going through my head. Try it.
Yep.
He never did that again.
I like play stupid games, get stupid prizes.
Yep. Right.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
So, I mean, parenting's crazy, but
Yeah.
and our kids will repeat and they'll probably have the same stories like we just shared with our parents and of the crazy things that we
Yes.
and they probably have better ones. They probably remember it more than we do. But,
Well,
I
they can
think
record us and put it on.
right? And now they can, yeah, and they have books and who knows what else our kids have going on. We've got creative little souls over here.
Yeah.
But, the other thing, and I've always been super mindful of this, is how I talk about myself and like
Yeah.
weight and beauty in front of my kids,
Yes. Especially with the girls.
especially with the girls. Because I remember, you know, I don't know, Gen X, right? Back in the day, I remember watching my mom do Richard Simmons in the living room. Man, I loved that man. Um, and his working workout to the oldies, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and she would do that all the time. I remember her Shackley shakes and she'd mix with cranberry juice and I mean, just all the weird little fads that, came out in the
Yeah.
80s that she would try and she would do and always trying to be skinnier and I mean, but I just remember thinking I never thought my mom was overweight or fat or
Yeah.
that there was anything wrong with her, but I grew up seeing her wanting to be different.
Yeah.
And, as we've learned about psychology and what kids pick up on and how they see their own body image, and a lot of that is based on what they've seen from their own mom
Yeah.
and other people around them, I've always tried to be very conscientious of what I say. And, I mean,
Yeah.
we still talk about being healthy, we talk about nice weight, making good choices, needing to exercise, but I never go at it of, well, it's because I'm fat because
Yeah.
I need to lose 20 pounds. I need to blah blah blah. It's always like I want to be healthier.
Yeah.
I want to, feel better in my body because it doesn't feel right now. Those kinds of things. But I think it's so important that we are careful with how we talk about ourselves,
Yeah. I agree. I
whether
agree.
it's our outfits, our hair, our wrinkles, our
Yeah.
gray hair. I'm bad about that. I'm like, no, this is gonna go away, which is why I'm quite blonde, because I'm not going gray.
I told the boys they should start paying for my hair colors because they're the reason that they needed to happen so fast.
Yeah, for real. Mine is more of 24 years of middle school, I think.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's it.
That would
Because
do it to anybody.
oh no,
That would do it to anybody.
yeah.
Yeah. We I find in our house like we don't and this was me growing up too. We never talked about the comparison of us to other people. So it's not something that even gets brought up in our house unless the kids bring it up. Like, so and so did this and so we always had the conversation around why do you think they talked about so and so like that? Or why do you? And they're like, well, like their belly might be a little bit bigger. And I'm like, but are they nice people? Yeah. So we always brought it back to like, doesn't matter what brand name of jeans is on your butt. It's more about the human living inside the whatever. And it's worked well for us that way. Um, that being said, though, modeling behavior, like both my parents smoked growing up. And but I mean back like we have pictures of my mom holding me in the hospital as a newborn baby with the ashtray sitting on the hospital bed table that came across like it used to be promoted as healthy back then. So then growing up, of course I experimented with it. I was the firstborn and naughty kid that had to try everything. And but why? But why? And then I ended up being a smoker for probably, I don't even know if you knew that about me.
No,
Um,
I did. Yeah, we had talked about
we
that
talked
before.
about it.
Hmm.
And I smoked like for quite a few years. And then when I wanted to have a baby, I was like, I can't smoke and do this. And a good friend of mine who is a pharmacist um, made a comment to me about being pregnant and not having the right to smoke your baby out.
Mm.
Like she kind of attributed it to a car because she knew how much I hated it. And that just stuck with me. And so the day I found out I was pregnant with Dylan, I went to my mom and dad's and I smoked my very last cigarette and I never touched one after that. But then with the kids growing up, like, when you're getting to those teen years and you're talking and like now it's vaping and it's this and it's that. And they're
Mm.
like, well, mom, you smoked. Like, because we never hid anything like that from them. And I'm like, I did. But I said, here's the thing. I smoked for whatever many years and I was able to quit. Your grandma smoked for however many years and tried to quit so many times and couldn't. And it ended up being what killed her, guys. And it's like, you don't know when you pick up that first cigarette if it's the first of the thing that's going to kill you or if you're going to be able to quit. You don't know that. All you know is if you don't have it, you never have to make that choice. So I'm like, I can't tell you not to do it because I'm not a hypocrite. Like I'm going to tell you, I hope you don't because it does nothing good for you. There's better ways to cope with stress to like I taught my kids how to fake smoke
Mm.
where you just hold a pretend cigarette and I'm like, you just take a drag and you hold your breath and now we call it box breathing and there's so many health benefits to it. But it's like, I'm like, try that. I'm like, that's why people do it. And they're like, oh. So I think that's one of the things I'm proud of with how I parented my kids is we didn't lie to them. We didn't hide the truth. And oh, I would never. It's like, no, your mom probably did all of the things. But here's the real life consequences of that. So when you go and make your decision, just know what it is that you're choosing.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
be aware.
Yeah.
And
We've been very similar with our kids.
yeah,
Um, I mean, like on both sides of our family, we have um alcoholism. So we talk to them a lot about, when you take that first drink, it may or may not trigger something inside of you that you don't know exists.
yeah,
And, for some people, they can have a couple drinks and stop.
yeah,
For other people, they can't. And then your body wants it and wants it and wants it. And, whenever we drink in front of them, I've never been that mom who's just, we're not going to drink in front of our kids. I've never made anything seem evil, bad, or like
yeah,
never. Because I mean, I was raised that way. Like my parents were never going to drink in front of us.
yeah.
You don't have sex, you don't do this, you don't, like there were a lot of don'ts, which then for some of us kids, it was like, hell, thank you
Well,
for that.
wait a minute. How many kids are in your family? Your parents had sex.
Right. Yeah. So there's four of us. And then we all had four kids, well, except for my little brother. But
Yeah,
yeah, so it was just I never wanted to be that parent. He was like,
Yeah.
no, but let's talk about the consequences. Let's talk about what happens if,
Yeah.
and then also show them a responsible way to drink. Like you can have a
Yes.
glass of wine or two.
Yeah.
If we were having a party, we used to have these things we called debacles. And so my,
Is that like
mm,
English for shenanigan?
oh yeah, yep. So we would have fine arts debacles, and the arts department at my school, we would all get together, and usually it was like Christmas time, and then maybe at the end of the year, like right when you
Yeah.
need to release some steam. I mean, dude, we're dealing with middle schoolers all the time, so we would have debacles. And we would come over. Usually it was at my house because I had all the little kids that needed to go to bed. And I mean, we would get trashed. But we did it where, whoever drove did not drink.
Yeah.
And we made a point to like tell the kids that like this person's not drinking because
Yeah.
they're the designated driver. Or they're getting an Uber, or they're spending the night and we're having a sleepover, so nobody's on the road after drinking, right? Like, so our kids are
Yes.
seeing like, oh, this is the way to be responsible. You can still have fun. I can't say that we're like getting drunk in front of your kids. It's a super responsible thing, but this is the way to do it, that you're not putting other people's
Yeah.
lives in danger, right?
Yeah.
And then, like with sex, we talk to our kids about that, and we're like, you choose to do this, like here's ways to protect yourself. Here's what's going to happen if you don't.
Yeah.
Anything underneath the clothes can lead to this. I always put on Call the Midwives when like a new boyfriend comes over, and so they're sitting there watching this like 1960s of, poplar England and these women pushing out babies.
I love it.
Like, do you see what happens? They did things under clothes,
Save room for Jesus.
right? Right
Yeah.
there, right
Right
there.
there.
And keep it on top of the clothes, and yeah, don't have to worry about that. Brilliant. Feel free to use that as you raise your children.
Yeah. My gosh. Oh my gosh. Um, what's has there ever been a time that you had an epic fail that your kids got to witness?
Oh, like a meltdown?
Like a meltdown or just something that didn't, like, I'm thinking of a time at the studio that was exceptionally stressful. And I came home from work one day and my husband met me in the mudroom and just hugged me because he knew. And I just broke down sobbing.
Yeah.
And I'm not a crier. And my kids were worried. And then I was like, oh, should I have let them see that? Right?
Mhm.
Like the stress of owning a business and people that can be nasty to you and like all the issues just coming to a head. That was basically what it was. It was just a bad week with some staff I had to let go, with a couple of parents that were just nasty in their delivery.
Mhm.
Um, and you're human and you break.
Yep.
And I'd always been like, ugh, do we let them see that? Do we not let them see that? But I also remember the conversations that came out of it. Like,
Mhm.
well, why did so and so talk to you like that? And it's like in this instance, it's like, well, they're advocating for their child, but they're like, but why did they say it like that? And I'm like, well, you know what? Because they were angry and they didn't know a better way to do it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, so I have to remember that when I'm sorting through. And I basically, it's like, they didn't get what they wanted for their kid. Well, how come? Because their child's not ready. Well, why aren't they ready? Well, they didn't put in the work, practice, have a good attendance, like all of the things why somebody's not ready to move on. And that's usually what it is in this industry. It's like, why can't they move? They're not putting in the work, they're not applying the corrections given, they're not showing up to class. Like sometimes there's other things, but typically. And then they're like, well, why is that your fault? And I'm like, it's not. But for a parent to blame themselves, that's hard. And it's hard when they think they can just come in and yell at you and you'll give in to what they want. And they're like, but you didn't give in. And I'm like, no, because me standing up means more. If I give in, then who's looking after their kid?
Right.
And they're
not
like,
knowing
oh,
what to
so it really opened the doors to some really great conversations. And that's one of the things I love most about this business and industry is the things that have happened along the way have really been some great parental talks with my kids on how to treat somebody when you're upset. How, yes, have the conversation, absolutely have the conversation, but how can you do it and keep everybody in like respectful communication?
right,
And it's okay to disagree. And then how do you respond when somebody's attacking you? Do you attack back?
right.
You know? Um, and then, yeah, and then like I remember, I think it was Nate, and he goes, so are you gonna go back to work tomorrow, Mama? And I'm like, of course I am. And he's like, but why? You cried. And I'm like, but I have the best job on the planet. So for them to see too, yeah, I can be hurt and my feelings can be hurt today, but I still believe I have the best job on the planet. So it's worth fighting for. And I'm going to make some changes. And, like all of those conversations that just came with going through something. And yeah, I feel like anytime I really questioned, should we have let the kids witness that or see that, especially when it came to the business part of things,
Hmm.
it usually worked out. Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, it's yeah,
Like,
my
have you
kids are,
had one like that where you,
yeah, they've seen a lot. They've seen a lot. I mean, because in every business, when you've done it for a while, you're dealing with a lot of that, right?
uh,
You're having to come home after some really tough conversations. You're having to come home after getting your tail ripped
yeah.
into
Well,
shreds
even
and
with you as a
something.
public school teacher too,
Oh,
right? Like,
Lord help us. Yes.
yes, Lord
You
help.
know, seriously. Say the prayers. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there are days that you're like, I just can't win, and things that happen, and and you're
Yeah.
human. And I think for my kids, what they have seen, because I didn't hide it from them. I mean, I try not to have a complete and utter breakdown in front of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But they will see sometimes where I've been in tears,
Yeah.
where I am upset, where I am angry, because I'm human. And you're right. Like, we had great conversations about it, and their little eyes are watching, and they're watching to see like times when I failed and I have to rethink things,
Yeah.
times when I've been completely blindsided by something that I had no idea and didn't expect to happen, and how do I recover from that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like during COVID, how we had to persevere and try to keep the business open, and pivot every 5 seconds for whatever the new
Yeah.
mandates were.
Yeah.
And I think the coolest thing that I saw, so Michaela 2 years ago had to write her essays for college.
Yeah.
And she's secretive anyway. Like, she's my kind of private kid. Um, but one of my teachers, she had read it from the studio,
Yeah.
and she liked to talk to her. And Mindy was like, Megan, you need to read this. It's you need to read this. And I was like, okay. I said, well, I don't want to, break any trust with her. And she's like, no, no, I think she'll be happy. She wrote it about resilience and overcoming and the strongest person she knows. And she wrote it about me.
Aw.
Like, and it
Yeah.
like what she read about was watching
Yeah.
everything we just talked about,
Yeah.
dealing with parents, dealing with kids, finding your passion
Yeah.
and going for it 150% no matter how hard it gets. Fighting for those kids that nobody's fighting for. And then crying about them at home because you're like, I can't save them all.
No.
Um,
And
and the
that's the
one,
hardest
oh,
part.
God, it's so hard. And having to know, like, I can I can put things in their bucket and put these little drops of love in their buckets
Yeah.
and hope that somewhere, somehow, that is going to make a difference for them, because I
Yeah.
can't control everything about their lives. And she, through all these years, watched all of that and learned, she talked about how much she learned from that and how it shaped who she is as a person and who she wants to be going forward.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just, you don't realize how
The
how much,
effect.
yeah, and how much they really are picking up
Yeah.
from us. And I think, being a mom, we're not Facebook and we're not Instagram, and we shouldn't be, and we shouldn't portray that to our kids. Our kids should not see that as like, well, this is what it is. It's the
Yeah.
perfect life. We're the Stepford wives. Nobody knows that there's like any trouble. Nothing's rocking the boat, right? You don't want to put on that June Cleaver kind of vision of what being a mom is, because that's not reality. And
Yeah.
then they don't know how to be resilient, and they don't know how to give grace, and they don't know how to have difficult conversations or to be kind in the face of ugliness. And they need to see us go through it,
Yeah.
give
I
them those
agree.
positive examples. And when we fail, to admit it, to talk about it,
Yeah.
and make that change, not just say we're sorry. And then, because that's going to help shape them as they grow up, and hopefully grow up into good people and not turn into assholes.
Right.
That's the goal.
Just be kind. It's
Just be kind.
free.
I know.
Yeah.
And
Um, I
oh,
love
I'm
that.
wearing a
I
perfect
love
shirt today too. Did you see my shirt?
let them.
Let them.
Little
And
shout out to
yeah,
Mel Robbins.
I know. But that's kind of it too, talking to
Yeah.
kids about, like, we can't control people, and we can't control their
No.
reactions, and we can't control how they treat us. The only thing we can do is control how we respond.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it right, but we can choose to respond in kindness, or we can choose to respond in kind.
Yeah.
And that's not always the best way. And sometimes we have to let them think that we're the worst thing that ever happened in the entire world. And I've had that conversation with my
Oh.
kids. I'm like, you know what? That's fine. I can be the villain in their story if that's what they
Yeah.
need me to be, because I know that their perspective is not the reality. It's
Yeah.
just their perspective,
Yeah.
and it doesn't define who I actually am.
Yeah. We the kids were always growing up. You guys are the strictest parents out there. The boys used to complain about it so much. Like nobody's stricter than you. And now, like that they're, both I say successfully launched into the world because they haven't moved back in again. Um,
Yay!
and I've told both their girlfriends like we have a strict no take back policy.
Right, no
Um,
returns.
yeah, no returns. They're yours now. But they have both called us on separate like occasions and many times to say, I know I used to complain about this all the time, but thank you for not making it easy when you could have. And thank you for not saving me from the mistakes I made and holding me accountable to that, because like they watch some of their friends struggling and they're like, they don't know how to stand up for themselves. They don't know how to like figure things out on their own. They don't even try. And they're like, we see it now. And I'm like, good, good. Like that was the whole point. Like we're still here for you, always will be. But like I used to tell them, because Nate, especially Nate's love language is acts of service. And I have a strong policy on I will not do for you what you are capable of doing for yourself. Now, that does
Amen.
not mean I will not help you out. That does not mean if I see you struggling, I won't help pick up some of the slack. But I'm not going to pack your lunch for you if you're capable and you're okay. You've been well fed enough. You can go hungry through lunch and you'll actually live until after school when you can come home and make a snack. I will not be the mom running you lunch. And but they learned accountability from that. They learned like how to
Hmm.
make sure that I've got my stuff done and ready. And they're both holding down good jobs and they're doing well in their little areas of work currently. So it's like, yeah, it all adds up, all those little stories and all those little moments,
Perfect or not,
perfect
right?
or not.
And
I
we don't have to be.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the big thing is you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present.
Yeah.
Love them,
Yeah.
feed them. It's kind of important.
You can do it
And
all in your car.
yeah, and just be willing and keep showing up for them. And
Yeah.
I think, we've got to remember that. We don't have to be that perfect mom.
No.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is a
So should
fun
we
talk today.
it was. Should we give everybody a challenge?
Yeah. I love
Leave
it.
them with some homework? The
Okay.
teacher and me, I'm like,
I would
homework.
love to leave some challenges and people can message us and let us know. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So I would love to see everybody. This is your challenge for the week because we talked about, body image, and I think that's so important, but also just how we
Yes.
self-talk. Stand in front of the mirror or have a conversation with your kids and talk about one thing that you like about yourself, that be kind to yourself about, and say it out loud in front of your
Yeah.
kids. And then I I say have them do it too. And you start
Yes.
building that positive self-talk
Affirmations.
because a lot of times the way we talk to ourselves, we would never ever speak to another human being that way. Oh, I hope not, right? And so
No.
why do we talk to ourselves that way? So
Yeah.
let's teach our kids to have that positive self-talk. And I mean, same thing like we did with our little babies when they were trying to walk and they'd fall and we're like, it's all right,
Yeah.
get on up, brush it off, let's do it again, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Um, I used to tell my kids a little poem. It was about their mindset. It says, you can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. No, sorry. Your thought, your hang on, let me do this again. Your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. But 100% the choice is yours.
Yeah, I love it. What a
Yeah.
great way to end.
All right. Stay tuned, folks, for next talk. We've got a good one for you. Kind of
Oh
staying
boy.
on this parenting and talk.
But we're going to talk about the talk.
Bah, 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 bah.
Oh, so we can't
She's
wait to see you next
spicy.
time. It is spicy. That's one you don't listen to in the car with the kids.
Or do. We got some
Oh,
great educational tips.
there you go.
All right. Thanks
Keep
for
them.
listening.
We'll see ya next time.